Hi everyone, I'm Justin, and this is the first video for Watson Tech World. And in this video, I'm going to describe what Watson Tech World is, what it'll be doing for the future, and I'm going to show you a presentation, and I'll just pause this video for a moment, and we'll go through the presentation quickly. Okay, so I'm going to show you a presentation here, and I'll try to make it quick if possible. This is the first video, and I'll explain some things, but I don't want to make this video too long. Okay, so welcome to Watson Tech World. I'm super excited you can watch the first video for this, for Watson Tech World. Okay, so what is Watson Tech World? It's the new brand name I chose for tech videos and eventually also tech articles that I want to write for it. Okay, so it took me actually a long time to decide on a brand. It's not so easy to come up with a name. Of course, there's a potentially infinite number of names you can pick. Um, I wanted a name that was neither too broad nor too narrow. And I also wanted a name that was semi-unique and wasn't taken by a domain squatter for the website or social media and other reasons. And eventually, I also picked a name that aligns with other brands I have. Okay, so these are two brands I have. One is Watson Dog Products. Another is Watson Coloring Books, um, which is a publishing brand I have that I will publish my first book hopefully soon. And for Watson Tech World, I want to be able to talk about things that I find interesting or passionate about without being too constricted by a specific niche. And I hope to stay on topic roughly most of the time. And above all, I want to teach and add value for others. Okay, so other names I considered, but I didn't choose. For example, I thought of names with the name reviews in it. I could have had, for example, Watson something reviews in it. Maybe Watson modern reviews or Watson computer, Watson software reviews, Watson, or just the name with reviews in it. But the problem was that it could be too restrictive, and or if I picked a name with tutorials and I decided to go off the niche, um, I just wanted the freedom to be able to do that. And I think the name Watson Tech World allows me to do that. And I actually considered other names as well. Uh, I won't bore you with all the combinations, but I did consider quite a lot. And uh, eventually I chose the name partly also because I also could have been in the so-called basically a loop where I never decide. And I didn't want that. I wanted to decide on a name. And I didn't want to procrastinate, so finally I just picked a name. Um, it's an imperfect name, but I think it's pretty good and I'm happy with it. And it's important for me to be happy with the name because I'll continue with it hopefully for a long time. Okay, so what are Watson Tech World's videos focused on currently? Currently, these are the first topics. Okay, software reviews, software tutorials, and AI. I've already made several articles about tutorials, and I'll discuss that later. And I've made many videos on reviews, and I've also made videos on tutorials, and I've discussed AI as well. And I think AI is becoming more and more of a hot topic, certainly in the last 2 years. Okay, so these are possible future topics: coding tutorials, data science, and other topics such as Linux, networking, and others. And ultimately, I love teaching about tech and want to teach much of what I know. Okay, so rabbit holes. As I mentioned before, I don't want to feel too constricted. Again, if I have a brand name like with tutorials or reviews in it, maybe I'll feel bad that I go off the niche. So rabbit holes for me, it means potentially a topic that's not the main topic. For example, like one of these, I could go something radically off topic. Probably not radically, but somewhat off topic. For example, I might talk about an academic paper that I think is super cool. I've already made videos about interesting papers I've read that I've thought were super interesting that could revolutionize modern AI, or just other cool papers that generally you might find interesting or could learn something useful. Okay, and then here, just randomly, here's some video ideas. I might examples of things I could do. For example, how to set up your own VPS. That stands for Virtual Private Server. Uh, and I personally run at least three VPS servers, at least three VPSs. Uh, and once you get to a point where you have enough tech knowledge, I think VPSs are quite amazing. So anyway, that's something I like to talk about. I might have an article about how to set up your own PeerTube instance. Um, for example, how to set up your own, there's so many how-tos. There's potentially an infinite number of how-tos, and there's a lot of things I like. And there's so many ideas I've had that I never acted on them, or I just procrastinated forever. And I hope that having a name such as Watch in Tech World allows me to the freedom and also the motivation to uh, produce more content. Okay, so brainstorming, this is sort of a random thing, but these are topics I'm pretty interested in that maybe I could make videos about and eventually articles. And I've even thought of making books about at least these first two. So, intro to neural networks, and neural network is like is like it's a specific type of AI technology that is one of the, basically like one of the most important techs for modern AI. And then machine learning, I can discuss that. Data science, intro to Python. And if you're not familiar with Python, Python is a computer programming language, and today it's one of the probably the most popular language for data science and AI stuff. Okay, current tech news. I've also made videos about tech news before under a different brand. Okay, so I have a site. It's called linuxwebdevelopment.com. I've had it for years, but I haven't written on it for a long time. And eventually I want to transition this into whatsintechworld.com. So I'll have the old articles still up, hopefully, and then post my new, and let me show you the site real quick. Okay, so at the moment, linuxwebdevelopment.com, I have a few articles that I wrote. A lot of these were written a long time ago. Like uh, this one was written in 2022, and this one might have also been. I honestly don't know. But this is an article about how to deal with a tar file in Linux. This is something specific in JavaScript. This is something in Python, and it's related to data science. Pandas is a specific software. This is a tutorial on how to make your own website checker. Check if the website's still up. And I think I actually use that to run my own. Okay, so yeah, some of these are a bit older because I haven't worked on them in a long time. But anyway, some of these articles, like there was a while when I actually did like writing, but then life took over and eventually I stopped working on this. But I want to revamp this and start working on this. So eventually this is going to become what'sintechworld.com, and yeah, and I'll hopefully change it a lot. And I had an about me page where I talked about this site was originally about Linux and web development. Okay, so it's in the name, Linux web development. But in recent years, have gotten more interested in data science and AI, and I haven't written much about web development, but maybe I could pick that up again. Okay, so this is the site. Eventually, this is going to become what'sintechworld.com when I get the time to transition it. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to rebrand that to what'sintechworld.com, and then maybe I'll niche down even more or transition. Uh, Again, going back to the name What's in Tech World, it's broad enough to where I am not restricted as much as far. Yeah, in theory, I could have picked a name like data science in the name. I could have picked a name with web development in it, and maybe that's fine if I wanted to specialize only in web development or only in data science. But because my interests are broad enough, I don't want to have like 10 different video accounts. Um, any more than like two for me is just way too much work, and eventually I'll just abandon all of it probably. So this is one reason why it's good to have a broad enough name to where I can make all kinds of videos. And I want to have a goal to learn what kind of videos my viewers like, um, uh, and importantly, learn what kind of videos I like making. So if I like making something, I'm much more likely to continue making it. If I hate making a video about something, I'm much less likely to continue doing that. And I want to produce a lot of content about teaching about modern tech. Okay, so this year's goals for What's in Tech Worlds videos. Okay, so I want to produce videos fairly consistently, ideally at least once per week. And I want to have many different social media accounts and post the videos to many different popular sites. And for various reasons, I'm not going to mention those specific names, but you'll be able to find them in a link I'll show you. Okay, so ideally for many of the video tutorials, I also I'm going to have for many of them, I ideally want to have a written tutorial. So at linuxwebdevelopment.com, that website I showed you, that's where I had written tutorials. But for me, it's much more motivating to make videos. But I could make a tutorial from the video, which is not too hard. For me, it's much harder to first make the written version, but if I already have the video, it's much easier to make the written part. Okay, so and then I ideally in the articles, I'll also link to one of the video sites, or maybe from my own site. Okay, here are URLs to look for. So as I mentioned, what'sintechworld.com. I own that domain right now. And then this is a URL I'll probably use, what'sintechworld.com/social-media. And that's where I'll post my social media accounts and video sites I post videos to. Okay, so thank you very much for if you watched this video and you got this far. So this is the first video for What's in Tech World, and I went over the types of videos I hope to make and Yeah, it's preliminary and I might change, but ideally, again, the current topics could be software reviews, software tutorials, and AI. And maybe I'll dive into these uh, as well, or potentially. Okay. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you, and see you in the next video.